Hello and welcome. This is In the Studio, episode number 58. Today we'll be doing a fun little mixing exercise here. We'll be taking this kick and bass loop and mixing them together so they play a little bit nicer with each other. They're grooving and jiving a little bit better and just sitting better in general together. So I'll show you what we'll be working with. Maybe. Okay, so that's the basic loop here, and I will say that this isn't a video on how to program kick and bass. Obviously, it's just more of a basic mixing tutorial, but we'll cover some good techniques here. So let's get right to it. I'm going to go ahead and mute these for now. I just wanted to kind of have something to reference at the end so we can do a little A-B comparison. We're actually going to be using these here. These are just exact copies. Okay. All right, so what I've done here, this is the same kick, and it's two copies of the bass. We have a sub bass and a top bass, and I'll kind of go a little bit more in depth into why I've done that. But first, let's go into the mixer, and we're going to be working with the sub bass here. I have the top bass turned down for the moment, so you can right now it's just the regular bass that you heard at the beginning because there's no EQ on it. So let's go ahead and set up this EQ, and we're just going to take the top frequencies off this sub bass. So we're going to go for a low pass filter. I'm going to go for a steep forward curve there. And we're going to just pull this back and take out pretty much all of the high frequencies. I think that'll work, and I'm also even going to take out some of these lows as well on here. So we're going to go for a high pass, order steep 4, pull that Q up so it's we don't need those super low frequencies. It's going to take up headroom, and we just don't need them. So let's take them out. All right, so now we got that going. Let's set the EQ for the top bass. So we're just going to do pretty much the opposite here. I'm going to go for a high pass, but I'm not going to go for quite of a steeper, not as steep of a curve for this filter. Okay, nice. I think that'll work. Let me pull these up a little bit. All right, so now what we're going to do is actually just do a little side chaining on the sub bass. I'm going to go ahead and mute the top bass here, and like I've said a few times on this channel, there's many different ways to sidechain, and I'm just going to use Kickstart for this because it'll just quick and easy. So let's just go ahead and dial this in. Let's start extreme and dial it back. I just chose the sub bass curve. There you go. I think that'll work there. Now we have the EQs kind of set up for the basses, and now let's do a little bit of work on the kick. So we're going to do an EQ on this as well, and I'm going to take out some of the very low frequencies. So let's actually do a high pass, and we're going to go for steep forward curve again. Pull that up. We're just going to probably cut it around 30 hertz. Just don't need those really low frequencies in there. Now this is more of a personal preference, but I'm going to take out some of the top frequencies as well. Not all of them, but some of them. So I'm going to go for a less, and not quite as an extreme, excuse me, I can't talk, of a curve here. But I'm probably gonna cut around 10K or so. And then what I also might do is actually maybe pull up a node here, maybe search for some nasty or not so nice frequencies in the mid-range that we can maybe scoop out a little bit. I'm going to scoop out a little bit here. Now I'm just going to do a little A/B switch with this EQ on and off just to make sure that this is enhancing. So with the EQ, without. With. Yeah, I think that little dip in the mid frequencies helps the bass kind of poke through and just kind of takes some of the not so nice frequencies out of the kick, and they just kind of gel a little bit better together there. So now what we can also do on this kick here, I'm going to go ahead and mute the basses for right now, is just a little subtle compression to help kind of clamp down on those transients. So I'm going to use old trusty, the SSL bus compressor. This isn't necessary to use this compressor. You can use whatever compressor you want. It's just the concepts is what you need to be paying attention to, and not the exact plugins. I'm just going to throw that in there. Doesn't even matter if you use FL Studio. Any DAW, doesn't matter. Okay, so let's set this up. I might go just pull this up, a little bit of a faster release. I'll leave the attack where it's at, and 2-to-1 ratio is fine. I don't want anything extreme here. And we'll just pull back on the threshold till we get a little tickle here. I'm just looking for subtle compression here. You don't want to overdo this at all. That's fine there. Let's just do a little bit of a makeup gain. Yeah, just clamps down on those transients a little bit, and yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. So, all right, now what we can maybe do is just a little bit of bus processing on the bases to help those glue gel together a little bit more. So I just have the sub bass and the top bass sent over to this bass bus here. So we'll go ahead over and work on this channel for a second. And I'm going to add a little bit of saturation here. So I'm going to use the twin tube from UAD, and we're just going to use the saturation knob here. And you can use distortion, saturation, plugins for this, and it kind of, you know, just experiment with the plugins that you have. It doesn't really matter that much, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull up the saturation, and we'll mix it into taste here. Extreme. Found it. With it. I definitely like it. It gives it a little bit of body there, but we did add a little gain, so let's pull this back a little bit. It's the output. Okay, that'll do, I think. Now we could add a little bit of compression to this, just to glue those two basses together a little bit more and give this bass a little character with the 1176. This is a classic compressor. It works a little bit different than maybe some of the you know, compressors that you might have seen if you're not familiar with this one. This one doesn't actually have a threshold. It has a built-in threshold. So how it works is you push the input level until it surpasses the threshold, and then it's going to compress according to your settings here and the ratio. So I'm going to leave the ratio on 4 is fine. And on this one, to the right here, the 7 is the fastest attack, and then on the left it's slow. So I'm going to pull this up. I want a fast attack for this, and we push up the fast release, excuse me. And then on the attack, we're going to maybe put it around there. I don't want it too fast. Maybe immediate, like a medium-ish attack. Then we'll just push the input gain till we get a little bit of a gain reduction here, and then we'll adjust the output to match. Yeah, that just like brings the bass a little bit more forward and glues those elements together a little bit more. So I'm going to stop here as far as processing goes. I could go a little bit further, definitely, and there's many more like techniques, but I think that's good, you know, kind of like starting point for one method that I might, you know, use to start mixing my kick and my bass together. So, but before I end the video, let's do a little A/B comparison here. So, um, let's just listen to the original, and then we'll listen to the processed bass. Let's turn everything on. So let's listen to the original first. Listen to it again. And yeah, I think that there's just a little bit more clarity, and the one that we processed and mixed together, and they're just working a little bit better together. So that is a video for today, a tutorial on how to, mix your kick and your bass. Hopefully you learned something. Feel free to leave me a comment or a question. I'd love to hear from you. So take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.